Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our virtual Family Weekend Slam Jam, an evening of poetry and music. We are very excited to offer this great event. You're all in for a real treat. Before we begin, it is important for us to acknowledge the land on which the University of Maryland sits. As all of us at the university work to center decoloniality and liberation, it is critical that we recognize our positionality. I invite all of you to listen and reflect as I read the university's land acknowledgement statement, which was developed with and approved by Piscataway Tribe elders. At the University of Maryland, we believe it is important to create dialogue to honor those that have been historically and systematically disenfranchised. So we acknowledge the truth that is often buried. We are on the ancestral lands of the Piscataway people, who were among the first in the Western Hemisphere. We are on indigenous land that was stolen from the Piscataway people by European colonists. We pay respects to Piscataway elders and ancestors. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that brings us together here today. Thank you, everyone. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Carlos Andres Gomez. Carlos is a Colombian-American poet from New York City and the author of the poetry collection Fractures, selected by Natasha Trethway as the winner of the 2020 Felix Pollock Prize in Poetry, a star of HBO's Def Poetry Jam and Spike Lee's #1 box office movie Inside Man with Denzel Washington. Carlos is a proud papi of 2. Everyone, please welcome Carlos.
Thank you so much, Brian. Give it up for yourselves. Thank you so much for being here. I am so thrilled to be performing and hosting tonight. A big welcome to all the families, whether you are in the same room together, part of your own little bubble, or you're socially distanced in your backyard with your devices, wearing masks, or you are in multiple locations scattered across the country or the globe. We are together here tonight, and we have the most incredible show. Huge thank you to Brian Watkins and Danielle Walker and everybody who made this event possible. We have incredible poets that you're going to see, an incredible musician, singer, and I'm going to do some poetry. So for those who've done this before, they know how this works. And you probably are used to having like the little emojis with the clapping. This is like the panelist webinar setup, so you're not going to have that. But let me tell you something as an artist who's done, this is my 64th virtual show since mid-March. If you're clapping in your car right now or your living room, I can feel you clapping. If you're smiling and nodding right now, like looking at your smartphone, socially distanced at a barbecue with a mask on, I can feel that love. And so will Shanice and Chittima and Hadass and B. Steadwell and all of us, okay? So keep bringing that energy. We feel it and we appreciate it, okay? One thing that I am really missing right now in the midst of this unprecedented, disorienting, challenging moment is not being able to go out dancing. So this poem is about that moment when you are out dancing with your family, with your partner, with your best friend, with your uncles, you know what I mean, with your aunties, whatever it might be. And this piece was inspired by a night out my junior year in college. And I went out with some friends to this salsa club in Northeast Philly called La Isla. And this is about that moment in the night, right, where you're waiting to be called onto the dance floor, literally and figuratively, right? You're waiting for that moment when the pinch will come, right? And for me that night, it was the chorus of a song. And it was the voice of the great Hector Lavoe coming in through the speakers. And right as the chorus dropped in from Hector Lavoe, I looked across the dance floor and the stage smoke crawled out of my vision. And it was like my feet hovered up off the ground. And I went over to this beautiful set of eyes on the opposite side of the dance floor. And I offered my hand to this person. And this is the true story about what happened next. And this is called Hector Lavoe is God. And it goes like this. I just might get her to stand up. But for now, she's moving in her seat, playing it cool while I flirt. Tease the timbales into my hips. It's a Saturday night in Northeast Philly, but she and I, Might as well be at the Colosseum in Rome. Julius Caesar watching with a smirk, drunk on my bravado, and she's still sitting. But that doesn't mean we ain't dancing. Doesn't mean we ain't pulsing at the center of this dance floor like a swollen heart about to flood itself inside out. My eyes closed, sweat soaked, the bass guitar and clave. She spins me in an awkward turn around her. Awkward. Like Mona Lisa's feigned smile. Or Da Vinci's backward scrawl you need a mirror to read. Awkward. Like Michael Jordan taken off from the foul line, his body contorting impossibly, improvised double clutch surprise freeze frame before slamming the ball through the rim, shock stung like Audre Lorde, dropping 4 bars on a Miles Davis remix of Tupac's I Get Around. The way she spins me is awkward, without an ounce of sacrificed grace or greatness. She just might stand up, I swear to God. And tonight that God is Hector Lavoe. But right now she's still in her wheelchair. Her torso writhing like a baby, about to burst forth into this world. Her open smile blessing the ceiling like an incantation to the bullet that didn't spare her baby brother. It's 11:17 in Northeast Philly on a Saturday night. El Cantante's band is helping him sing at a sermon, and I'm just waiting for her to rise up out of her wheelchair and do a salsa drop step. She reminds me that as long as we've got music like this in our bones, we can never be stopped from dancing. Thank you so much, beautiful people. I can feel you clapping. I can feel you smiling and nodding. I receive all of that. I appreciate you. I am going to do one more poem, and then I am going to bring up an incredible poet from the University of Maryland who is part of an incredible poetry group at the University of Maryland called Terpoets, who have, I think, performed every single time and been a part of it and been co-sponsors all the times I visited University of Maryland. I think I've been about 4 or 5 times over the last 10 years. So shout out to Terpoets. I love the Terpoets. But I'm going to do one more poem before we get there. I don't know if any of y'all have had this experience where you meet someone for the first time and they find out one thing about you. Okay, man, like literally one thing y nada más, right? Like all of us like reside in different identity categories, correct? Like race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, religion, age, ability, disability, et cetera, right? And so they find out that you are Muslim or a woman or Black or Puerto Rican or whatever, and they say, what? No way. You totally don't look like fill in the blank. You ever this happened to you before? Or like you don't act like or dress like or talk like fill in the blank, right? You ever this happened before? And suddenly it's like they carry all this baggage that they have not examined or unpacked from their entire life, and they unload it onto you, and now they ask you to do something with it. And you think, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. So this poem is inspired by those kind of exchanges. I've had many. And I dedicate it to anybody watching right now. If you don't fit into a one-dimensional, preconceived, stereotypical identity box for any of the identities that you carry, which of course means this poem is for every single person watching. This poem is dedicated to you, okay? Because all of us tuning in and watching right now defy ignorant preconceptions and stereotypes people have about us every single day. So like I said, this is for you. True story, many times over, unfortunately. And it's called, Where Are You Really From? Goes like this. The man's words to me are not offered, but flung. So, what are you? Where are you from? I say, New York. But your name is Carlos. I mean, where are you really from? I say, New York. Bueno, yo soy Latino. Mi padre es colombiano. Mi madre es estadounidense. Nací in New York City. I lived in 4 countries, moved 12 times, went to 12 schools before I graduated high school. Is not what I would say in 12,341 years because I don't know a damn thing to anyone. What am I? What am I? A financial aid form, a vegan red velvet cupcake recipe? Dude discovers his first Latino with green eyes and suddenly appoints himself the authority on Latinidad. Like, but you totally don't look Mexican. Oh, Colombian. But like, what percentage? Do you speak it though fluently? Dance salsa well? Oh, but not both parents. You've been there, but not lived there. So you weren't born there. Yeah. I'm not a government questionnaire. I'm in an anecdote for your homogenous social gathering of your homogenous friends. I know everyone you hang out with looks like you, has a name you were able to pronounce and or share and or sounds pulled directly from an episode of Leave It to Beaver. Here's the deal. Latin America is not just Mexico. Actually pronounced Mexico, pero whatever. Central America is not part of South America, and Mexican is still not a language. The question, where are you from in our current America, is a slur disguised with a question mark. A passive-aggressive microaggression saying you are other, saying you are not from here, saying you are not nor will ever be one of us, saying go back to where you came from. But I am from a place beyond place. A place where once you're from there, you can never leave because it exists beyond dirt and flesh, beyond your linear and limited concept of time. I am from bloodlines unkillable as water. I am the return that is only earned when absence has stretched its gritty void across a passage as stoic and sacred as an abuela's hard-edged love. I am my Black and Latino daughter's grace, chimered into the cobalt pulse of these once too often fists. I am a boy without a word of English in his mouth, in a Catholic school classroom in South Florida, his son on the virtual stage via Zoom and YouTube, being beamed out virtually to College Park, Maryland, 59 years later tonight, reading this poem for him. I am the steady ray of light, unlocking my mother's teeth, tossed skyward with a laugh. What hard-earned joy looks like, carved from the wreckage of a lifetime's worth of grief. You are not ready for the answers to the questions you ask, not ready for the worlds these words might shake free. You could never understand what I am, or where so many of us are from. Clap in your room, clap in your car, clap in your socially distanced yard party, viewing party with your family, watching this event right now. Are you ready for your first poet, your first other poet to come up to the stage, your first poet from Maryland, from Turp Poets? You are in for an incredible treat right now. You are in for an incredible treat. Coming up now is a New York City native who lived in Baltimore for the last 4 years. She majors in public policy with a focus in education, policy, and community development, and minors in creative writing and Latin American studies. She is on the poetry track in the Jimenez Porter Writers House and is currently the president of University of Maryland's Poetry Club that I keep name checking, the Turp Poets. Give it up with all your energy, your attention, your love. Give it up for Shanice Silva. Give it up for Shanice.
Hi everyone. I'm like really excited to be here, and I really matched the energy that Carlos had like given. So I'm like really excited for the first poem I'm performing. It's inspired by my mother. She had grown up trying really hard to protect me because we didn't grow up in the safest environment. And this poem was just recognition to understanding that she had tried her best to make sure that I'm safe. And it's called When I First Wore Red Lipstick. When I wore my first red lipstick like a rosebud on my lips, with petals elongated over my eyes, I couldn't see my mother watching the petals plucked, then withered by men who pulled their hands out of their jeans and climbed their way up neighborhood trees, snapping little girls off branches like unripe fruit. My mother was 18 when she became an unsuspecting florist, to a seedling that grew from her stomach and snipped into a world where she has seen too many trees axed and wood burned. She didn't raise me to grow too quickly like those other girls, drenched in fertilizer who blossomed taller than the bunch. She didn't want me reaped because somebody thought that they were deserving of my scent. She told me our bodies were like flowers, grown in the wrong location. So she wrapped me in New York City pavement, filled the cracks with steel from the beams of housing projects. She kept my roots safe, sheltered from sunlight. But she couldn't see that my leaves were already soiled by sebum, and the oil grew out my thorns and sent poison through my stem. She couldn't see the mock berries that grown along my sides, that if plucked would turn the tongues of thieves into ash. She couldn't see that the stems of unsheltered girls are laced with pesticides, and we are all decomposing beneath blooming petals. Thank you.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Give it up for Shanice. Give it up for Shanice, the president of Tur Poets. Big shout out to the incredible Tur Poets. If you don't know about Tur Poets and you are a student at Maryland and you do poetry, look them up, check them out, contact Shanice. I'm sure Shanice might talk about that later. I don't know when their meetings are. I'm sure it's virtual right now. Reach out to them. There is only one musician tonight, an incredible singer-songwriter who I'm about to introduce right now. And I always feel like my favorite kind of events are events where you can share the space with a bunch of different artists. I know for me, it just feels like the richness of an event like that is what it's all about. And I'll say this, like, you better believe poets are inspired by musicians. And I know musician friends of mine are inspired by poets. So this is like a cross-pollination of us inspiring each other. B. Steadwell is a singer-songwriter and filmmaker from Washington, D.C. With roots in jazz, a cappella, and folk. B transforms a blend of genres and personal stories into what she calls queer pop. She utilizes looping, vocal layering, and beatboxing to compose her songs on stage. Woo! B's original music features her earnest lyricism and proud LGBTQ content. B kicked off 2017 singing behind Maxwell and Janelle Monáe with the Big Lovely Band at the Women's March on Washington. Come on. Revolutionary, musician extraordinaire, your next favorite artist that you maybe didn't know until now but will be a fan of forever. Give it up for the one and only B. Steadwell.
Colors in my cup of coffee. Colors in my cup of coffee. Watch the cream swirl as it do. Find myself get lost in movement as I lose myself in you. Colors in my cup of coffee. Watch the cream swirl as it do. Find myself get lost in movement as I lose myself in you. Colors in my cup of coffee. Watch the cream swirl as it do. Find myself get lost in movement as I lose myself in you. Colors in my cup of coffee. Watch the cream swirl as it do. Find myself get lost in movement as I lose myself in you. Colors in my cup of coffee. Watch the cream swirl as it do. Find myself get lost in movement as I lose myself in you. Colors in my cup of coffee. Watch the cream swirl as it do. Find myself get lost in movement as I lose myself in you. Colors in my cup of coffee. Watch the cream swirl. Find myself get lost in movement as I lose myself in you. You are like the day, always coming back that way, never asking why. Selfless lighting up her sky, and when you descend, she goes back to her world again. Wonder how she'll mind come the day when you don't rise. She's not worthy. She will never be. She find myself not worthy. She will never be. She is what you know. Tell yourself you'll never go. How long will you pray for your world, your life to change? Tell yourself those lies. Without her, you'll never shine. Give yourself to her. Never have what you deserve. She is not worthy. She will never be. She is not worthy. She will never be. She is not worthy. She will never be. She's not worthy. She will never be. Colors in my coffee. Every morning dreams of you. Quiet how I lost in her. And that's all I'll ever do. She colors in my worthy. She will never be. She find myself get lost in movement as I. She will never be. She colors in my worthy. She will never be. She find myself get lost in movement as I. She will never be. Colors in my coffee. Every morning dreams of you. Quiet how I loved her. And that's all I'll ever do. Colors in my coffee. Every morning dreams of you. Quiet how I loved her. And that's all I'll ever do. Whew. Hello. Yay. Is everyone, what's up? Oh, yeah. It's good. Hello. It's good to share space with y'all. Thank you, Carlos, for such a heartfelt and passionate intro, and for all of your poems. I was clapping. I'm glad you could feel it. Let me know if there's anything, if you can't hear or anything. If everything's cool, I'll just keep going. Yes, okay. So my name is B. Steadwell, and I write pop music, and I'm also a Black queer girl. And so basically I grew up listening to music that wasn't really written for me. And I make music now because I want people like me who are often marginalized in mainstream culture to have songs that they can relate to. This next one is about falling in love. And it's just that moment where everything is very cheesy and glittery, and everything turns into a cartoon. Doom. Doom, doom, ba-dum, doom, 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 ba-dum, doom, doom, ba-dum, doom, doom, dee, doom, dee, ba-dum, doom, doom, ba-dum, doom, doom, dee, doom, dee, ba-dum, doom, doom, ba-dum, doom, doom, dee, doom, dee, ba-dum, doom, doom, ba-dum, doom, doom, dee, doom, dee, ba-dum, doom, doom, ba-dum, doom, doom, dee, doom, dee, ba-dum, doom, doom, ba-dum, doom, doom, dee, doom, dee, ba-dum, doom, doom, ba-dum, doom, doom, dee, doom, dee, ba-dum, doom, doom, ba-dum, cartoon girl, you're like a doodle in my notebook world. And what you do to me, I can't explain it. You make watercolor rain. When you smile, there's cartoon birds a singing into your eyes. They light up everything, I can't deny the squiggly lines I feel inside. Feel like I've been sleeping and it's you I'm dreaming. I can't believe this feeling. I dreamed you into life, my cartoon lover. Paint my world in color. I can't see any other. I drew you up just right, cartoon girl. You're like a doodle in my notebook world. And what you do to me, I can't explain. You make watercolor rain. When you're gone, it's just another day. The sky is the trees. Even the sun is gray, no place to go. I feel my heavy world turn slow. But I ain't concerning. Know that you're returning. I feel my spirit burning. My skin begins to glow. Don't say you love her. This girl could be trouble. Oh, what's in your thought bubble? I'd really love to know. Cartoon girl, you're like a doodle in my notebook world. And what you do to me, I can't explain. You make watercolor rain. Yay! Yay. I hope that if nothing else, that made you laugh. All right, so the next one I'm going to do, if I have time still in this one set, is is actually a cover. And this one requires a bit of dancing. Not just me, actually you as well. And I know I can't see you, but I'm gonna trust that you're gonna dance with me. And if you're really fancy, you'll dance and sing. Now this song is a Smokey Robinson tune, and you just do a two-step. It's just 2 steps. You can snap, you can get crazy. Everyone can do it. I promise. Give it a shot. Stand up. You may or may not have been sitting all day. So let's give it a shot. All right, the two-step. If you're adventurous, you're doing it right now with me. And you're not gonna stop. I did you wrong. My heart went out to play. But in the game, I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Whoa, I'm crying. Woo, I'm crying, crying all the time. Ooh, baby, baby. 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 Mistakes. I know I've made a few, but I'm only human. You've made mistakes too. Oh, I'm crying. Ooh, I'm crying. I'm crying, crying all the time. This part you can sing to if you want. Maybe a harmony if you fancy. Baby, baby. Baby, baby. Baby, baby. I'm just about at the end of my rope, but I can't stop trying. I can't give up hope, 'cause I need you here. One day I'll hold you near and whisper I still love you. Until that day is here, I'm crying. Baby, 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 baby. Come two-step with me. Come two-step. Come two-step into the frame. Look, Mika's two-stepping. It's not a lie. We're all doing it. Baby, baby. Baby, baby. Can do a little special snap. Baby, baby. You got the snaps. Baby, baby. Woo, thank you, Mika. I didn't tell her that she was going to do that, so that was really nice of her. Put her on the spot. I think that I can do one more. Not sure.
Yes,
Panelists.
definitely.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's really, really quiet, but I'm gonna feel the energy.
We're cheering.
I was literally like, is anyone texting me? Am I just singing to myself? I'm not sure. Great. Cool. So the next one I'm going to do is it's a tune I wrote for an ex who was magical and witchy and sometimes not in good ways. Ha. Bing 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 ding bing bing da da bing 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 ding bing bing da da bing 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 ding bing bing da da bing 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 ding bing bing da da bing bing I was a king, I was a sultan, and every kingdom on the map was mine. I was adorned in golden trinkets. I was so high, I was so high, I was a god, I was immortal. I was a star just burning in the sky. I was the sun, I was the darkness, and I was so high, I was so high. And she crept in from the dawn. I had no warning. She's falling and I'm falling into the dream of her. I fell. She rose up from the deep. She is a priestess. Make me need this. Know my weakness, and now I'm trapped in her love spell. Oh, I met a girl, I met a goddess, and there were stars just burning in her eyes. Open the eyes. eyes. I tasted heaven. I was so high. I was so high. I was so now every day and every minute. I need a hit of her just to get by. She was the spell. She was the sickness. I was so high. I was so high. Crept in from the dawn. I had no warning. She's falling and I'm calling and into the dream of her I fell. She is a priestess. She is my weakness. And now I'm trapped in her love spell. She's a witch. She's a witch. She's a witch. She's a witch. She's pulling out my soul. Why won't she let me go? Casting hexes and shit. Casting hexes and shit. Witches be tripping. I lit a match, I burn a candle, and from my heart a fire starts to rise. I found a strength within the fire. I was so high, I was so high, I was so. She was a witch, she was a priestess, but no one owns a greater spell than mine. No greater love, no greater power. I am so high, I am so high, I am so high. 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 I am so. Woo. Thanks for that standing ovation that you're obviously giving me. I'll see y'all in a bit.
Give
Carla,
it up for B.
take it away.
Steadwell. Oh my goodness. Woo! I was dancing, I was clapping, I was screaming, I was singing. This is like the gift and the curse of hosting a show like this. Is I was so in the pocket and in the vibe that B. Steadwell had created it. It's very hard to now perform. I just want to be at a B. Steadwell show for the rest of the night. But the good news is, here's the amazing news. B's doing 2 sets. Okay. So do not be too sad. B will be back in a little while. So I'm gonna do a few more poems right now, and this poem is for anybody who's had this moment. So I feel like there's a lot of folks from Maryland, or the DMV at least, who are watching right now. So I know that you all, I know you've got public transportation, but a lot of you all drive, okay, right? My sister-in-law and brother-in-law live in Maryland. So, so it's a lot of driving, right? Have you had this experience where you're driving and talk about like being in the pocket or being in the vibe? I don't know, like you're listening to one of B. Steadwell's albums or a song by B. Steadwell, or you're listening to a really energetic podcast and you're just like in the vibe. And then you're driving, and before I tell you what happens next, let me just say very clearly, like slow your damn cars down and stop at stop signs, okay? Before Brian and Danielle like completely nix the idea of me ever coming back in person to University of Maryland. Like seriously, slow your cars down, very seriously. Pushing my daughter from daycare, people driving too fast and blowing through stop signs. It's very, very dangerous and upsetting and frustrating. That being said, you ever that moment where you're listening to your B. Steadwell song and you're really in the vibe? And you glance over at the speed limit sign and you have this thought just go through your head and you think, 55? Is that what we're doing? We're still doing 55? Like, I know FDR wanted to, have us get good gas mileage during the Depression, but what are we doing? 55? And then you look at your speedometer and think, ah! And then you look diagonally across and you make eye contact with a police officer who's reading your speed parked in his car. You ever had this happen before? Does it ever happen to you before? Just me? Yeah, I really hope it hasn't. So this is a true story about that happening when I was 17. And this is called Above the Speed Limit. It's in the new book. It goes like this. The first time I got pulled over, I turned to the classical station. rested shaking hands on the steering wheel, elevated my voice an octave, and made sure to blink wide and scared, so he could see the white of my eyes and emerald irises in the late May sun. He didn't ask my name, never saw license or registration, said just, take it easy. So I did. So I do. But my son, now 13 years and 7 months from his first driver's test, is black. What will he do? How much of my stare and smart mouth are imprinted? How will he understand why I can't sleep? Each night he's away from home, and I look just like the men who too easily mistake the dark silhouette of his wallet for a gun. I know right now is an incredibly intense moment, disorienting, challenging, vulnerable, to say the least. One thing that I have been doing with a discipline throughout, ever since the shutdown happened in mid-March, I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. And on like an hour's notice, there was like whispers among parents, and then they were like, cool, she's off for a month, maybe a couple years. But I'm so grateful. I'm making this practice of like naming my gratitudes every day. And I've never felt more grateful and also more connected to the people I love the most, which has been such an unexpected gift of this very strange and challenging time. And this next poem I wrote, it was inspired by romantic love, but I want to expand its notion of love and what it is lifting up and celebrating, to include and to be in celebration of all those people who unconditionally love you, who deeply know you, who cherish all of your little idiosyncrasies and quirks, and they adore you and they love you and they support you and they hold you down. I've talked to my mom more than I've ever talked to in my life, probably combined since I moved out of the house in the last 6 months. And the same with my dad, and the same with my sister, you know. So yeah, this is for your partner, your best friend, your tia, your abuela, your cousin, your favorite cousin, all those people who love you unconditionally. And this is called Everything. And it goes like this. You are everything, the only thing. If only everyone on this earth could feel this, you are a bowl of Captain Crunch cereal that won't end, and I'm 4. In a bright red onesie, with a butt flap in the back, it's a Saturday morning at 7 o'clock sharp, and Transformers is on. The TV show, followed by Fraggle Rock, followed by the Thundercats, or that feeling of me walking out of that middle school dance after kissing Natasha Bradbury. That's right, Natasha Bradbury, the older 8th grader. And all of my 7th grade friends and hers were watching your hidden bucket of quarters in my glove compartment. As I realized the parking meter is broken. The street sweeper only comes yesterday. The traffic cop is drunk, toasting me from the bar across the street. Your Scantron final exam in statistics that's already been filled in with a number 2 pencil. And just got handed to me by my professor, who winks and says, it's senior spring, Carlos. You've earned it. Now get out of here. You are Batman. Trick-or-treating with me in the 2nd grade. The 3rd Halloween in a row, I wore the bat suit. You are every single slap bracelet ever. Y'all know about slap bracelets? Cool. Yeah. Slap bracelet ever made in a box on my front steps, and a Willy Wonka chocolate factory in my backyard. You are no wait time on the tarmac at, what's the closest airport to College Park? Is it BWI? I'm going to call it National because I don't want to invoke the other name. National, BWI, anybody know? I think it's BWI. Baltimore, Washington, Thurgood Marshall International Airports, 84 degrees with clear skies and the slip and slide, ready to go. Open road on the Autobahn in a brand new Lamborghini Murcielago. You are waking up from a dream to see Michelangelo painting the ceiling of my room for me. You are ozone pulled back together with light like a set of curtains on Broadway, an AK-47 magically turned into plastic, a super soaker filled with Kool-Aid. You are prisons transformed into gingerbread houses, life made into a big game of cops and robbers, and someone just yelled, switch! You are landmines made into goodie bags, filled to the brim with fresh fruit and blow pops, bombs that all blow up in the sky as fireworks, like Christmas tree ornaments decorating the night. You are earthquake-ravaged land in Haiti. Turn to Nerf blocks and moon-bounce floors that leave victims only laughing. In stitches, politicians in army fatigues, ready to take over the front lines so that all the troops can come back to their families. You are life decisions that can be reset like a video game when they're wrong, only saved when you want them to. You are that first violin note in Beethoven's head that became his Ninth Symphony, an opus his ears never knew because they were deaf, but a song he still knew by heart. In his chest, baby, you make me a giddy kid again each time I see you. This feeling you give me would make a child of anyone if only everyone on this earth could feel your light. There would be nothing left to hate or fight, and only room left inside of them to celebrate this life. Thank you. The last 6 months have been an adventure, to say the least. My daughter is 5 years old, and she has been going to virtual kindergarten for 5 weeks. And our son is 2 years old. And so, it's been all hands on deck. And an incredible time with family. But one thing I've been thinking so deeply, I've been thinking like very nostalgically about the world I knew pre-pandemic in different ways, and thinking about moments and things I took for granted, whether it was like sharing a glass of wine with a friend, or, just like going out dancing like I was talking about before, or just like eating dinner at a restaurant, without a mask on. And so, which I'm not going to restaurants, period. But yeah, pick up instead of just sitting down and eating. I've been writing and reflecting and reckoning and thinking about a lot of stuff in my life for years. And one of those focuses, one of those sort of like obsessions for me has been gender. And a lot of it has been from my context in my own personal journey with gender. And I think there's often this idea that like if somebody fits in an identity box that's often assigned to them, that they comfortably reside in that box. And I feel like a lot of my work is sort of wrestling and reckoning with that idea as well, right? So I'm a cisgendered straight man, which is to say that the gender that was assigned me at birth, people said I was a boy. I identified as a boy. I identify as a man now. I identify as straight. That may change in 10 minutes or in 10 years or never. I don't know. But that's where I am right now. I think that, so those were like, that's how I identify. When I was growing up, there were expectations and there were assumptions that were associated with those identities that I just named. So the assumptions were, if you were a boy or a man, the assumption was that you were cisgendered. If you were a boy or a man in my cultural context, the assumption was also that you were straight. So it was a conflation of sexuality and gender, right? Now the expectations was that were that a man be tough, emotionless, ready to fight, sleep with as many women as possible, never ask for help, never admit he's wrong, conquer and win everything. How can that go wrong, right? Which may or may not resonate with the cultural context you may have grown up in. And having toured and traveled and performed in 46 US states and 25 countries, unfortunately, I'm reporting back to tell you, spoiler alert, in the overwhelming number of places I visit, there's a similar enough cultural context when it comes to masculinity. So I think for me, it was a real struggle because my inherent self was opposite to that, right? Like I was this sensitive, tenderhearted, nurturing, communicative, collaborative, gentle, emotional little kid, which everyone told me was what a boy was not allowed to be. When I got to college, I started to kind of like defy and kind of like break away from a lot of these stereotypes around masculinity. And this poem is about one of those acts of resistance, I guess, against these socialized conventions around how guys were supposed to engage with each other. One thing that was expressly forbidden was men holding hands, which in a lot of cultural contexts is just like the way that men, walk down the street together if they're friends, if they're family, if they're partners, whatever. But in my context, that was like expressly forbidden. Was that homophobic, heterosexist? Absolutely. But that was the norm, okay? And so I just walked around campus of University of Pennsylvania in West Philly for 1 hour, holding one of my guy friends' hands, didn't create a character, change the way I walk, talk, dress, nothing. Just your buddy Carlitos Walking down Locust Walk in West Philly, and this is the true story about what transpired in that hour. And it's called Hand Stitch. And it goes like this. I'm holding my friend Gino's hand and asking the Army recruiter for more information. About the Marines, please, I say. He fidgets with his cufflinks, paws at his necklace through his shirt, drags the back of his hand across the close-shaven sandpaper of his chin. Gino is staring him down. Through the eyeliner he wears like a middle finger, we watch this stranger, caught between the trained movements of a machine and the churned butter in his body, just like mine. 2 months before, when I said hell no to a trip to the gay club, I just don't want to lead anyone on. It'd be like colonizing the space, I said, which sounds a lot better than I'm uncomfortable. I wouldn't know how to stand. What do I do if a song I like comes on? In Zambia, I walk the dirt roads of a township, my pinky finger intimately wrapped around the smallest digit of the most infamous guy on the block. He was my friend. It is how friends walk the streets there. When I greet my Iranian friend's father, we embrace cheeks twice. In Thailand, my host casually patted my leg at the first family dinner. I nearly jumped out the window, thinking he was reaching for something else. Everyone laughed, probably confused as to why this strange foreigner had been trained to be so foreign to the gentle touch of a man. A passerby gives me and Gino matching names. I tongue the word around in my mouth, feel the tender sting make a home in my torso, stare at the word brotherhood splayed across a camouflage banner. The recruiter stares down at the table, as though it holds a secret code to life's great questions. His corrected stutter and slightly overcompensating stance blend into the decorations behind him. So much so that I can barely even tell he is still there. He pretends as if we are not, begins sorting and then resorting the 3 lonely pamphlets dwarfed by the large rectangular table where they now sit. Boys. Seriously. Please. I'm just doing my job. His mouth begs in a voice so small and so human. It makes me feel like I've just blurted out a secret this man has given his life to guard, like freedom. I'm going to do one more poem, and then we're going to bring up actually a video of an incredible poet from University of Maryland, okay? Who is not a Terp poet, but is a Terp and is a poet. So I'm going to just make it a Terp poet with a hyphen, and maybe she will become a Terp poet formally soon. Like I said before, I have an amazing little daughter. She's incredible. She's fearless. She's brave. She's incredible. She survived 5 weeks of virtual kindergarten and 3 months of my wife and I homeschooling her. So this next piece is inspired by her, like my brave, incredible, brilliant, fearless girl. And I also want to dedicate it to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG. May she rest in power. May she rest in peace. Kind of feel her presence already. God bless her. You know, she meant so much and inspired so many girls and women and people across the world, people of all genders and all backgrounds. And this is for them, RBG and my daughter, Grace. It goes like this. If a princess tries to kidnap your daughter, face the shadow. No, a princess can never evade this. The faceless men above, holding her translucent string, shrouding her in darkness. They have spent millennia writing this role for your daughter. Learn the chronology of what they will try to project her into: Princess Pretty, Princess Precious, Princess Mixed Girl, Princess Fetish, Princess sassy, princess sexy, princess hot girl, princess harlots. Refuse the epithet defended as compliments. It will not make her more special. It will not make her more safe. The word is dangerous and ubiquitous as a shaking chamber baptized by gunfire. Refuse the pink tutu, pink tube top made for a 3-week-old. Endless tiaras adorned with fake Congolese gemstones. The heart-etched thong made for a 9-year-old girl. Refuse the relentless pretties. They toss her way like glittering wreckage. I respond, President. I respond, call her President Grace. They say, well-behaved little lady. They say, pretty as a peach, pretty little princess. They comment on her eyelashes and skin tone as though we baked her from a ready-made biracial cake mix. I respond, resilience, firestorm, brilliance, renegade, Joan of Arc, I yell back. Fannie Lou Hamer, Frida Kahlo, Alice Paul, Dolores Huerta. I tell them how she arrived. Writhing into full-throated yell, how she shrieked into life 21 hours into labor. My daughter's pulse stuttering towards mute, how seconds away from being choked to death by the umbilical cord, she screamed her airways open so that oxygen could buoy her tiny lungs, how her head rose up on its own. A stubborn orchid from sturdy shoulders. Just 7 seconds after emergency surgery, 7 seconds from suffocating, our daughter will be a neuroscientist. A biochemist who discovers the cure to progeria or Ebola. Our daughter will shoot 90% at the free throw line and adore Sophocles, Audre Lorde, and Mahmoud Darwish. Our daughter white knuckles her way to sleep, eyelids strained, afraid that she might miss something if she blinks. She is many things. She is everything. All things radiating at once. But one thing she will never be is a princess. I can feel you cheering and clapping, and it means so much. Y'all are so beautiful and so incredible. Like I was saying, we're going to hear a piece live from this next poet, who is a Turk and is a poet. But in a second, after I introduce this next poet, Brian and Danielle will put on the video of this poet doing one of her incredible poems, okay? I want you to give your love and energy. The next poet coming up right now. Let me stall and let me find this bio that I have somewhere close by. Here we go. I'm scrolling down in the bio. She's incredible. She's wonderful. She's sweet. Chidima Opaibag is a senior English major with a focus in creative writing at the University of Maryland. Her love of writing was ignited in the 7th grade when she wrote her first poem about the fear of grease splashes when frying bacon. That still terrifies me, by the way. Many of her poems focus on the cultural dissonance she has experienced as a Nigerian American. She hopes to inspire other people from multicultural backgrounds to feel secure in their identity. My goodness, give it up for University of Maryland's own incredible poet, Chidima Opaibag. Give it up for Chidima.
I saw Quan at the Family Dollar last weekend. The one in Southern PG, by the Popeyes, the liquor store. He darted inside, Helly Hansen, dark and slick with rain. White Air Maxes, the leather turned gray. Do-rag smooth waves. With his fingers bunched under his cuffs, his eyes scanned the rows of cans before he chose in Arizona. Fingers leaving thin streaks in the condensation as he turned the can over in his hands, checking for dents. He said something that made the cashier laugh, pretty light skin with a blonde fro. I stepped into line, reached for a pack of Big Reds, said, "Hello, Quan. Do you remember me?" He looked at me hard, snapped his gum, and said, "Nah, I don't think I do, man." "Oh, but you must remember a summer camp in a church down the street. How you baby cussed on the basketball court, raised your fists against the other 6-year-olds, threw a gang sign, said you learned it from your daddy. How your milk teeth dug into my palm as I whispered in your ear, 'You're It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. How the older sisters hissed. Black boys like you get called aggressive, challenged, ain't able to do good, don't bother. He unfolded a 20 from his pocket, laid it crisp on the counter. I waited until he had gathered his bills, his penny, said, I'm praying for you. He nodded, cracking the tab, crumpling his receipt, said, take care, sister.
My goodness. Give it up one more time for Chidima Opaiba. Give it up for Chidima Opaiba. Look at the effects too. Oh my God, that was beautifully powerful piece and beautifully shot. My goodness. We have another poet who is a Terp coming up right now. A junior, double majoring in flute performance and English and working on a creative writing minor. Despite her junior standing, however, she's a senior citizen at heart. I love it. Hadass is a second-year student in the Jimenez Porter Writers House program with her concentration in poetry, prose, and a sprinkle of script writing. I love that. Her biggest accomplishment over quarantine was teaching herself how to crochet. That is an accomplishment. But she also formed a writing group called Writing Circle, where she facilitates a creative writing and thinking with prompts, games, and all sorts of virtual shenanigans. And she's pretty proud of that too, as she should be. Please give all your love, energy, and attention and generosity to Hadass Sandilan. Give it up for Hadass Sandilan, University of Maryland's own.
Oh, I realized I was on mute. Oops. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited and really grateful to be performing. So yeah, I'll be reading my poem, which I just recently titled, Sorry, It's Past the 11:59 p.m. deadline. So here we go. Adderall is not a miracle pill. Say it with me. Adderall is not a miracle pill. Neither is Vyvanse nor Ritalin, and no, I don't take baby meth. Stimulants aren't meant to cure, they're only meant to help me fit into this world that wasn't built for girls like me, restless and bored, where it's so obvious but is obviously ignored. People are so impressed that I can think outside of the box, but don't see the problem when I can't stop. Because according to Doctor Who, time is a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff, making me incapable of knowing when enough is enough. So no, I can't tell you what 1 minute feels like, but I can tell you 101 useless facts about space. And if there's no interest, 30 minutes can feel like 3 days. I keep getting migraines from every time someone says, if you just focused, you would be great, because I was that cadet lost in space. Because apparently ADD isn't enough, and in order to have ADHD, I need the H, but that isn't necessarily true for those who daydream about life on Mars, because to me, the H doesn't stand for hyperactivity, it stands for Hadass. A piece of me that I place into all the diagnoses, like a soul split into 7 different prescriptions and prognoses, from psychiatrists to all the other ists. I'm sick and tired of all these tricks that aren't just for kids. I never wanted to play this game where the prize is internalizing the message that if I'm not functioning, it must be because I'm lazy, dumb, or self-centered, placing the blame on 4 fucking letters strung together by those who truly can't comprehend that thinking differently is not a disease. And it took me far too long to realize that nothing is wrong with me, and I'm still struggling. Legitimately, don't we all deserve to be seen? It took me until I was 20. I fought flares of depression, anxiety, grief, and even beat an autoimmune disease, easy. But the one thing no one takes seriously is the fact that I can't read more than a minute without fidgeting, or keep track of my commitments, or complete a single task in one sitting without a million thoughts simmering, rambling, and either oversharing, overthinking, or too reticent, hesitant, after always being interrupted and told over and over again and again, you talk too much, or you're too quiet. I lived under the impression that I was pretentious. And somehow people always fail to mention that ADHD is not a deficit of attention, it's paralysis in the pursuit of perfection, it's overstimulation in all of the senses, it's highlighting the whole textbook because everything is important. I don't know what common sense is. Common misconception, hyperfocus is not a superpower. Do you think I want to spend hours and hours unable to look away from my obsession of the day, fearing I'll amount to nothing but a jack of all trades, master of none? If I had a penny for every time I've been called a perfectionist to my own detriment, I'd be filthy rich and could probably pay my college tuition. Call it what you want, but it's not something to go unnoticed. I know people think that I chose this, but who in their right mind would choose my mind, absent of a map, navigation, basic directions, with a manual, assuming I'm equipped with all the same executive functions, and I'm working hard to show myself love and compassion because I'm still young and have time to unlearn my destructive patterns and habits, but some scars won't fade and some wounds come back in waves. I still beat myself up over opportunities lost because I forgot, because in every fiber of my being, it feels like pulling teeth to complete tasks that are mundane. But maybe if we lived in a world that provided empathy and affection for atypical brains, to those creatives that possess beautiful imaginations, to the kids that can't sit still for more than 5 seconds, to all the geniuses who genuinely believe they're stupid because their lives are spent trying to abide by guidelines created by closed-minded institutions that demand fishes to climb when they're clearly meant to swim. There's no way in hell they've been set up to win. But maybe if the world decided to open its eyes to those like me that struggle more than most to keep track of their time, maybe then they'd realize it's not that hard to be kind, and maybe then I wouldn't miss the 11:59 p.m. deadline. Thank you.
Give it up for Hadass Sandalan. Oh my goodness. Give it up for Hadass. Absolute fire. Thank you, Hadass. You all are in for a treat. For all of you folks who were like, darn it, I missed B's first set, or you're like me, just wanted 9 more hours of a B Steadwell set, you are in luck, because right now is the second and the final, unfortunately, tonight set from B Steadwell. Give it up again for B Steadwell. Wherever you are, clap, cheer, scream. I know that B Steadwell can feel it. You're in for it.
Ooh. The first song I'm going to do for you is one about being in love with someone who doesn't see you, and you can't see a way through the situation. It's called Blind. Doom, 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 da da da, doom, 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 doom. I'm that blind mouse running round the maze, happy with my bit of cheese, happy to be safe And I'm that dumb girl they all talk about. She thinks she's so happy and she still ain't figured out. Love should move me just like a boat and sail. Love should clarify, but it's just a veil, and I'm that dumb girl they all talk about. She thinks she's so happy and she still ain't figured out. I wanted for so long. Simple, happy, nothing crazy, but I loved you for so long. Blindly, blindly, I just can't see. Baby girl, she loves to have her fun. And the sky would fall down if she can't get what she wants. Baby girl, she just wants to be free. When she's gone, I'm left alone. It's something she can't see. You're my ignorance. You're the ghost of bliss. I know love can hurt, but not feel like this. And when I've loved, I've turned a cheek or two. Though I know you're hopeless, I'd do anything for you. I wanted for so long. Simple, happy, nothing crazy. I loved you for so long. Blindly, blindly, I just can't see wrong. No, 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 see wrong. No. I wanted for so long. Simple, happy, said nothing crazy. But I loved you for so long. Blindly, blindly, I just can't see. Ooh. That's a tough one. I just want to thank everyone who's already taken the stage. What beautiful pieces. I'm so moved. That last piece, taught to Hadass, thank you, taught to climb when you were meant to swim. Oh my God. Like that, I feel that. I feel so seen by that line. So thank you. And thank you, Carlos, for teaching the people as a cis straight guy about these things, because we don't always want to be teachers, the rest of us. So thank you for that. This next one is a little angry, so I might have to stand up. This is a song, I promise we'll get happy. I'll get happy at the end of this set. This is a song about you're looking at your phone and it's 4 a.m. This was maybe pre-pandemic kind of situation. You're looking at your phone and it's 4 a.m. and you're waiting for your whoever to come home and you don't know where they are and they're being a jerk. And you are becoming a paranoid, anxious, jealous person, and that's not you. So that's kind of what this song is about. Ooh, 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 who have I become? 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 Throat tight, midnight, wait up by the lamplight like a housewife. Can't sleep, can't sing, staring at the phone, still it won't ring. Get back, get free, get away from the girl you never could be, would be. So tired, so weak, swollen eyes in the mirror said this can't be me. You knew who I was when you met me. I knew who I was till you let me down. When I look at myself, I see somebody else now. You knew who I was when you met me. I knew who I was till you let me down. When I look at myself, I see somebody else now. Who have I? Who have I? Said who have I? Who have I? Said who have I? Who have I become? Bad time, bad luck. She come back to your bed, said she's so wrong, messed up. Say no, say what? Break up till you make up. Get stuck, get free, get back, get more. You deserve that, cause you're worth that, yeah. Now you say that you done, then you stay. Who have you become? You knew who I was when you met me. I knew who I was till you let me down. When I look at myself, I see somebody else now. You knew who I was when you met me. I knew who I was till you let me down. When I look at myself, I see somebody else now. Who have I? Who have I become? Who have I? Who have I become? Who have I become? Who have I become? Who have I become? Said who have I become? Who? Oh, that song makes me so angry. I love that. I love that. Is that it? Or should I stop? What's up, Carlos?
Do another one. You want to do one more? Do another one.
Okay, sure.
Go for 9 more hours. I'll be happy.
Okay, I'll just do one more. Yeah, I wanted to end on a happy note, if that's okay. All right. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. I'm B Steadwell, and I'm gonna do this last tune. There's a dance move that you do. It's like this. It's like the shopping cart, but it's picking greens from your garden for a special, special person. Maybe that person is you. Hey, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best. I'm gonna give you. So when I get to the chorus, y'all are gonna dance that dance with me. You gonna dance it with me? You come in at the end and just hype them up? Okay. Hey. You got that dark green love. You got that summer sweet. Yeah. I've got the greenest thumb. I promise when you come, we gon' be planting seeds. Planting seeds, baby. I'm gonna give you the best greens in my garden. I'll pick the biggest leaves. I'm gonna give you the biggest leaves. I'm gonna give you the best greens in my garden. I need you healthy for me. I'm gonna give you healthy for me. I wanna keep you here for 100 years. I wanna run through trees. I want you running right in front of me. Let's go and play with dirt. Let's go and save the earth. This love is so alive, 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 alive. Breathe in the freshest air. Breathe it in. Bathe in this sweet sunlight. Swimming in it. Ooh, honey, get you some. I promise when you come, my garden gives you life. Yeah. Gives you life, baby. I'm gonna give you the best greens in my garden. I'll give you the best greens, the best. I'm gonna give you the biggest. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best. I'm gonna give you. Yeah, one last round. Come on. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best. I'm gonna give you the biggest leaves. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens. I'm gonna give you the best greens, the best. I'm gonna give you healthy for me. Yay.
Give it up
That's
for
it,
B.
y'all.
Steadwell.
Thank you.
Give it up for B. Steadwell. I know you are dancing. I know you've been moving. I know you've been singing along with the chorus. Please like look up, Google B. Steadwell and buy everything and support everything and go to every single show. We are coming to the end of the show, but before I do a short set to close this out, we have two actually encores from Terp poets that you've seen already. One Terp poet and one Terp hyphen poet. You saw in the video before, you saw Chidima, and now we have a live performance from Chidima Opaibag. Give it up for Chidima one more time for a poem live.
Hello, everyone. I am so grateful to be in this virtual space with all this talent. I wanted to read you guys a haiku, actually, that I wrote. It's called Constriction, and it's a short form poetry about my experiences as a woman not being able to feel like I could do everything that I wanted to do and feeling constrained. So this poem is about my experiences, but it's really for anyone who's felt like they were limited by their gender. So there's my poem, or haiku, Constriction. Before class, I bound the girl inside of me tight enough to choke her. Thank you so much. That's all.
Give it up for Chidima. Oh my gosh, that was beautiful and powerful. I mean, it just shows you the whole point of many poems. You know what I'm saying? It's about like the impact and the power of the words. It's not how many words are there. It is the impact and the power and the potency of them. My gosh, that was incredible. Chidima's like, here's a haiku. Have a nice life. Amazing. Chidima Opaibag. Give it up for Chidima again. And right now you have an incredible encore from the president of Terp Poets at University of Maryland. Give it up one more time for Shanice Silva.
Hi again. So this poem is just one that I had written. I started writing it around August. I was very nostalgic, a little bit nostalgic of New York. And I was coming to terms with living in Baltimore, like accepting like Baltimore also being my home. And this one is called When Love Enters. I've sat at home for 4 weeks, and today when I sat by the pond next to my house for the first time instead, it smelled like summer 2016. The water from the pond smelled like an open hydrant. The insects fluttering over the moss sounded like the patters of children dancing barefoot through the spraying water on concrete. Wings zipped past my ear like speeding cars along a busy highway. Like mothers yelling from opened windows to children that tried to ignore the settled sun and the street lights, but we knew it was the timer to return home to dinner and safety. And safely, I sat comforted by my solitude. The thick winds blew from the north and wrapped around my shoulders, tugged at the ends of my fabric shorts, and I could almost taste the pollution on my tongue if I lifted the right way. It wasn't until the clouds hovered in front of the sun and the chill became uncomfortable that I realized I was nostalgic, that the gnats became visible, the swarm of bugs blocked the view of the pond, the still image blurred in motion, that it is August. It has been 4 years since moving, and I can't seem to maneuver around the depression that changes with the seasons, and I let myself wonder what life would have been like if I had stayed home. My city is an ocean. If I had stayed within the confines of people that try to make me feel whole by filling me with parts of their body that they hated to prove they loved me, I tried molding the memories of my family to remind me they meant well. But when they found out I was leaving, they held me by my wrists and ankles, pulling me until my nose was barely above the water. It wasn't because they wanted to control me, but because they were worried for my safety, and I had waited until they were ready to let me out. And my city taught me how to swim, but I never knew what the shore was like. And now, as I graze my hands along the wet dirt, my heart aches because I never learned what deserving the sun felt like. I remind myself when it feels like bugs come to my face and my nails cut deep, swatting them away. Salt will not cover my wounds. So I drop my hands and let the rays dry my blood. I let nature remind me that love is allowed to enter in unusual places, and I am allowed to new homes of my own. Thank you so much, everyone. And just like a brief side note, so we Turf Poets do have meetings on Mondays, and we have them from starting at 8 p.m. You can actually find us on the University of Maryland Turf Link page if you are interested in attending. And thank you again, Carlos, for hosting this event, just like keeping this like very lively throughout the whole night.
Thank you so much, Shanice. Incredible. Give it up one more time for Shanice Silva. Woo! Check out the Turf Poets. Go to their meetings, find out more. If you're a poet, if you're a writer, you want to find out more. Incredible, incredible. They've been doing it for a long time, the Turf Poets, like I said, when I visited in person. I am about to close this out. Before I close this out, I want to say the most epic thank you to everyone who made tonight possible. Brian L. Watkins, incredible. Let me tell you all, when it comes to programming an event like tonight, especially during a pandemic, especially virtually, there is so much behind the scenes, invisible, thankless work that goes into an event like this. And the literal Brian L. Watkins, I know, like the kind of person who like won't even put his name on the thank yous, is often not thanked, often not seen, but does so much work to make this happen. The Brian L. Watkins of the world often get 8 emails about getting the wrong fruit punch for an event, and very rarely have someone send them a note and say, thank you so much for putting on that incredible event for Family Weekend. So please seek out Brian Watkins and tell him that you are grateful for tonight. Please also look up Danielle Walker and say thank you for tonight. Thank you, Danielle, for making tonight possible. Thank you, Brian, for inviting me. Thank you, everyone from the Division of Student Affairs for making this possible. Big shout out to the Turf Poets. I miss you all. Hope to see you all in person in 2021 on the other side of this. Let's hope, fingers crossed. And a huge thank you again to Shanice, to Chittima, to Hadass, and B. Steadwell. My goodness, every single one of you for tuning in and watching. I'm going to read a couple more poems here and then we're going to get out of here. This poem is from my new book. Actually, it's my debut full-length poetry collection. A long time coming, 21 years since I started writing poetry. And it is going to be in the world a week from Tuesday. It's called Fractures, and it's from University of Wisconsin Press. A lot of this book is excavating and reckoning with former selves. And this is a poem about out dancing at an all-ages dance party when I was 15 in Providence, Rhode Island. And this is called Last Sundays at Bootleggers. My entire wardrobe was Canal Street original, knockoff chic, adolescent sleek in my double XL blue and black bubble jacket. Yeah, I was inside the club, and what? Inside an oversized coat coated in sweat and Old Spice. A kid eyeing 16, but not quite there. I wanted it all, Chico. Learner's permits, the latest Jordans in baby blue, maybe a wink from the pretty Boricua in social studies. And when Biggie's verse dropped in Only You, he was in that room and teaching us how to stay elevated. From that third floor wasteland towering above India Point, so we sang, sour-throated and nostalgic, for times we hadn't yet lived, in unison, like we wrote it, till our voices cracked and spilled over and between every rift. But in the throng of lost kids where I finally found a self I loved, it all came together. Like we could remix any wreckage and make it into a stage to slay. So we swayed and grinded like our lives were a music video tribute, hip to hip. I'm going to read one more. I was inspired by Chittima's haiku. It's like slightly longer than a haiku. And it's in my new book, Fractures. I worked with the youngest people that are incarcerated on Rikers Island in New York City for over a decade. And a lot of people don't know that on Rikers, which you may or may not know, it's one of the most infamous jails in the world. It's the largest penal colony in the world. 18,000 people incarcerated on this small island right next to LaGuardia Airport. If you ever land at LaGuardia and you think, oh, cute, what is that? Is that like a cute little island, like a place with some Airbnbs? No, it's a jail. And a lot of people don't know the youngest people incarcerated there are actually children. 16 and 17-year-old boys are incarcerated on Rikers Island. I used to work with them. This is dedicated to them. And this poem is called Mourning Rikers Island. And it goes like this. Physics and light pierce the hollow stench of the forgotten gymnasium, stripped naked of clocks. All the adolescent boys stop, offer their grief to each other like water, staring out the only window they all share. A single ray unfolds its warmth across the dusty belly of the thudded parquet. And here's the miracle. The sun frees everyone to sing. Thank you again, Brian, Danielle, Office of Student Affairs. I have one more poem to close this out. If you want to find out more about Fractures, it says it's for pre-order right now, but some, behind the scenes intel is the books arrived at the warehouse last week. So if you pre-order it now, the book will be shipped today, tomorrow, soon, and be sent to you as fast as it would if it was technically released. But it's technically out a week from Tuesday. And if you're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any of that, and you want to connect with me, you want to ask me a question post-show, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Is usually the best way, but any of those, and I promise I will. I promise I'll reach back out to you. It won't be a robot or a personal assistant. It'll be your buddy Carlos. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. My website's super easy. It's just carloslive.com. Carlos, like the really easy to spell Spanish name, even if you're as bad of a speller as I am, and live, what happened right here tonight, carloslive.com. Thank you all again. This final poem to close this magnificent evening out is dedicated to all the amazing siblings out there. If you are an amazing sibling or you have an amazing sibling, let's clap in your car, in your dorm room, in your apartment, in your house. Okay, I can feel it. I can feel it. Yes, yes, yes. So I have an amazing little sister. Her name's Maya, and we're this big age gap. We're actually 15 years apart. And when she was 11 and I was 26, she taught me one of the most transformative and important lessons of my life. So at the time, she was struggling with reading and writing, and she was struggling in school, and she found out for the first time how old I was when I learned how to read. So I didn't learn how to read until I was 9 years old, and a very delayed reader. And when she found this out, this big smile broke out over her face, and she felt, seen and affirmed and validated, which was a stark contrast to the expression on my face that I didn't realize was a look of embarrassment and shame. And she confronted me about it. She was like, Carlitos, why would you be embarrassed about learning to read when you were 9 years old? You're a professional writer. Your whole life revolves around writing. You should tell every audience that you're in front of that you didn't learn to read until you were 9 years old, because what if there's someone in that audience that wants to be a poet or a novelist or a playwright or a journalist, but thinks they can't because of how they were when they learned how to read? And I was like, okay, 11-year-old. But if you all have that younger sibling, niece or nephew, maybe child at Maryland right now, who's very obviously an 8,000-year-old grandmother posing as a young person? Y'all have that person in your life? They're like, I'm 6. Like, you're 6,000 years old, kid. Don't lie to me. So this final poem is inspired by my little sister, Maya. And I want to dedicate it to anyone who's watching right now. If you ever struggled with reading and writing like I did, if you ever struggled in school like my little sister Maya did, but now you are at the University of Maryland, College Park, and you're on your path, and you're proving every single doubter and naysayer wrong, I want to dedicate this final poem to you, and it's called Gifted, and it goes like this. My little sister likes to read Harry Potter books. We'll spend an entire afternoon doing nothing, but something she's not supposed to be able to do. Don't be fooled, though. By the fluttering pages in her palms, she's channeling Da Vinci, inverting words like a fresh bruise. Turn tangerine orange, she picks the ripe hurt from a swaying branch in a chapter. And we both hear Albert Einstein's words echo up from the floor. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. My little sister Maya likes to read fairy tales. Has always loved fantasy. It's where we built her playground. She is Leonardo minus the mirror. It took years for people to read what everyone thought was Da Vinci's own invented language when all he did was just write backwards. And just like Einstein and Leonardo, Maya has a gift. Some don't think so and call her dyslexic. She is a genius to her. Coded like the paragraphs her potent mind distills, but while kids repeat monotone words from a teacher who might as well be a cartoon parrot or a doll's audio recorded voice or a hooked on phonics tape acting as a babysitter while kids stuff their mouths with dull letters and muted sounds, Maya is in a daydream. They try to beat her down with a 4-letter acronym baton, but she's too busy directing the orchestra with her magic wand, a symphony of mixed chlorophyll-tinged pastels, constellation framed with songs of a summer breeze-drenched field. Maya's dancing in an open clearing in the woods, scrawling out recipes with Mozart in sweaty rooms of overcrowded notes. She calls it a curse. I tell her it is a gift. There is nothing wrong with you, Maya. She asked me who with dyslexia has ever really done anything besides this Leonardo da Vinci or Albert Einstein. And I answer, well, I guess no one else really. I mean, besides Pablo, Picasso, Anne Bancroft, John Lennon, Auguste Rodin, Ansel Adams, F. Scott Fitzgerald, W.B. Yeats, Agatha Christie, Muhammad Ali, Maya. Your mind is a gift of greatness. I'd rather see the page like you. Imagine all of the possibilities at once, the paragraphs unhinged, each sentence released by the first hinted promise of a word. It's promise to make us free. Thank you all so much for an incredible night. Please take care of each other. Please tell the people you love that you love them. What a joy this has been. What a humble honor it has been to host this and perform alongside Chidima, Hadass, Shanice, and B. Steadwell. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Carlos. This was incredible. Thank you, B. Thank you, Chidima, Shanice, Hadass. What a beautiful evening. And thanks to everyone who joined us tonight. I hope all of you have a great rest of the weekend.